SacriFire is an upcoming HD-2D JRPG that pulls a lot from the classics of the genre. SacriFire has combat that the developers have said is inspired by Valkyrie Profile. It's a really nice and intuitive form of combat with a lot of nuance to it. In that game, you're basically trying to build out as long of a chain as possible to deal the most damage. In this one, there are damage type weaknesses. You have to press buttons at specific times in order to get perfect attacks, similar to something like Paper Mario. Movement during combat will cause time to move forward, so that means by taking actions, the enemies will also take their actions, and this gives you a sort of pseudo turn-based hybrid mix of gameplay that I think looks really fun. If you're the kind of person who wants to just rush in and smash things, you can do that, but you won't be as effective as you would be taking your time, hitting at the right times, and keeping enemy weaknesses in mind. There are also dodges with invulnerability frames, so timing is going to be very important here. And the boss fights in particular look really amazing with the kind of spectacle that you like to see, but also having clear, unique mechanics that you'll have to adapt to in order to get through each fight. And as long as that loop is fun, we could have a really great game on our hands here. The most clear link to Valkyrie Profile is the way that you explore the world. It's more of a side view sort of exploration with some platforming, and when you bump into enemies, that's when the battles start. For fans, especially of Valkyrie Profile 2, this should feel pretty similar. There's so much to SacriFire that has made me excited to check it out when it finally releases, and one of those still has a connection to Valkyrie Profile, in that the soundtrack is partially composed by Motoi Sakuraba, who you might know as the composer for every Tales game, Star Ocean, and also for the Dark Souls series, and Valkyrie Profile. Basically, he secured his position as in the conversation for GOAT status. And SacriFire isn't just looking great in the combat music department, but also in the art style and environments. And this is one of the most impressive HD-2D games that I've seen so far, in my opinion rivaling some of the top-tier studios, which is kind of crazy considering this is a Kickstarter-backed project from an indie developer, and the game setting is part of what makes the environment so interesting. Religion is actually a big part of the game, and the main character starts out in the middle of becoming a bishop. This isn't just a hands-off sort of religious presence. You can actually hop into the realm of the gods yourself, and this is apparently going to be a pretty important aspect of the game, with various puzzles that will be solved within this realm called Erebus. So, the environments that they've shown here have been religious buildings and sacred realms, but there's a really fun combination of fantasy and science fiction here. It isn't all fairies and lollipops either. There's a darker current of something in the world of SacriFire that is fueling the main conflict, and conflict doesn't seem to be as black and white as it appears on the surface. They've done a good job of showing off the game, hinting at deeper things in terms of the story and the lore, which is something my nerd who loves lore sensibilities really jives with, and I'd really love to dig into that more. Of course, as is often the case with all indie games, scope and ambition have outstripped their time scale, so they were originally hoping to have the game out in the first quarter of 2026, but that's been pushed back. They have given a specific reason for that though, and it makes sense. They've partnered with a publisher that is going to give them things like marketing, give them the ability to dig in and flesh out the game a bit more, so I don't really blame them for wanting to take the extra time to make the game great. You only get one chance at a release, so it's always best to do as much as possible before the game actually comes out. Of all of the different indie games that have been adopting this HD-2D style, I think that SacriFire is probably the one I'm the most hyped for. It's still pretty new, this style, so I'm sure there will be other games that use it, and I've already seen them pop up more regularly. Maybe eventually we'll all get really tired of HD-2D, but for now, I've been enjoying it, and I think it works especially well in the way that it's being used here. In terms of potential problems that I could see with SacriFire, it's really more about story-related things. It doesn't take much to tip the scale into becoming a trope-heavy mess in the JRPG genre. At this point, a lot of people are jaded because they've seen the same things over and over. So far, I haven't seen much that could potentially be problem areas in SacriFire, but there was a bit of cheesy dialogue here and there in the trailers, which, look, I'm not completely opposed to cheesy dialogue. Just don't slam me with that for the entire game. That's all I ask. It's like telling dad jokes. There's a time and place for them, and that time isn't for 40 to 60 hours of a playthrough in an RPG. The one thing I haven't seen yet that will really be a big moment for understanding how successful this game can be is seeing the antagonist. There hasn't been a ton of information about that antagonist, aside from a bit of a look at one character that you fight, so we don't really know their motivations or what they're like, and for this kind of RPG that can really make or break it. So those are a few of the things I'll be looking out for when we see more of this game in the future and leading up to the release. I'm excited about SacriFire. I think it has a lot of potential. I'm hoping that they're able to pull it off. I guess we'll see. The game still seems to be aiming at a 2026 release, and we should be hearing more details about that soon in whatever partnership that they have with their new publisher. For more videos about RPGs of all kinds, make sure to subscribe. Thanks for watching.